Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Live SEO Support with the two cutest men in SEO,
Yeah, I
Nick
like it.
Altamore and Chris
That's me.
Jeebus.
That's him. Wrong way. I need to get better at, um, you know, directional stuff in front of a green screen.
That one. Yeah, so how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel good. I feel relaxed. I have upped, we talked about this before. I've upped my coffee consumption in the morning to two coffees, but I feel like I've found the right coffee just to not get me too overstimulated.
Mm-hmm.
So back on the caffeine train, and yes, I have been getting caffeine headaches. So I still,
It's kind of
shouldn't be
weird.
doing it,
It,
but
it kind
it's
of
a
looks
little bit
like
of
you're like
balance. Oh,
lagging a bit on the monitor. I'm not really sure why.
also look gray, huh?
Um,
Bluish. Yes.
yeah, I don't really know, but it definitely looks like you're
Uh,
lagging. Hopefully, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter that much, but
Probably just I've been living on a farm for the last couple months, everybody. So, that's some of the stuff that's going on over here. Internet is not the greatest at the moment.
for sure. I don't know. I've never seen it lag like that before though. So anyway, if Nick's video is a little lagged, guys, sorry for that. I don't know who we can
But if
blame.
it's fine, like, comment, subscribe, and remember, we're always here for you.
That is a good thing to remember. What was I about to say? I feel
Mhm.
like I had something important to say. Maybe not.
Maybe a reminder that Black Friday sale is coming up.
Yeah, you got the
Um,
25% off sale coming the week of the 23rd to the 30th. Yeah,
Juicy
so
sale.
definitely want to take advantage of that while you can. No, something else.
We've got the guest post dashboard. It's almost here. It's
Oh
almost
no, I was just
here.
gonna talk about how daylight savings time is messing with me. So now I'm trying to go to sleep
Yeah,
earlier because getting dark that early is just insane.
it's pretty annoying, really. I say this every year, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a very boomer thing to talk about, but we're boomers now, so you know, you talk about daylight
I
savings.
I was going to bring up that on Instagram, Shithead Steve, who's a famous memer, put up a meme about it was like Squid Games related, and was like the next task is not to talk about daylight savings time for the next 3 months or whatever. So yeah, it kind of made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, we're boomer, we're boomering.
So now I'm like trying to go to sleep before midnight, which is crazy.
Oof. I- I've been staying up later and sleeping in more, which is not good.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. Well, because usually I'm chasing Caspian around quite a bit all day, and then nighttime is when I can actually like walk into work for a good amount of time. So, you got to get it while you can.
Gotcha. All right, guys. That's enough small talk. You know the drill. Got any
You do.
questions? Drop them in the chat, and we will start getting to them. All right, let's go ahead and head over to YouTube. Hey, man. Hope you're doing good too.
Hello.
Let's see. And I'll add this so that I check my rankings every third day. All right. Wanted to ask about ranking positions. Is it just normal for pages in the top 10 to fluctuate a position up or down? I have a few articles that just jump around positions 6 to 8, some 3 to 4. I check my rankings every third day. So, this was something that bothered me a lot when I first got into SEO too. And I used to also, you know, check my rankings like religiously. I don't think I could wait 3 to 4 days in the very beginning. It was like an everyday thing,
For sure.
especially
Yeah.
when you're just not, you're not as confident in the process. You just haven't, it hasn't played out enough times for you to really have faith in it quite yet, or you don't really understand what you're doing yourself either. So, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's super normal for things to fluctuate one position. They can even fluctuate more than one position. They can bounce around a couple positions.
Pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I was just talking about page one right there. Um, so usually if it's on page one, you really don't really see it bouncing off page one very far, unless it's like rank like 9 or 10 bouncing to like, top of page two, like 11, 12 or something. It can, but as far as like daily fluctuations, it's like very normal for things to move around like right where they are. They very rarely just stay in one spot like all the time. When you say that's about right, Nick?
Yeah, yeah, typically. Over time, you might notice less volatility as you get to numbers 1 through 3, because then I think, my assumption is that the traffic flow would help show Google that people are interacting with a specific page that they've already deemed in the top 3 positions. So you'll kind of notice less volatility typically. But yeah, it depends on a lot of variables. But yeah, typically that's true. One thing to note is like somebody was talking about this in our group the other day that they will get volatility from putting up. So obviously they have a really high end blog or good quality blog. Um, they'll put up new content and it will automatically go to page one and then fluctuate back to like page 4 or 5, he says. And so he was asking about that volatility. And so, depending on how new the page is or how new the site itself
More
is,
volatile.
you can expect a little bit more
Yeah.
volatility. But overall, yeah, once you get on page one,
Um, but yeah, and then once you get off of page one, like once you get onto page two or even page like three, then stuff can really move around a lot. Like you can be bouncing from like page three to page five to
yeah,
page four. Like you're jumping like 10, 20 positions a day, just kind of like going all over the place. Because it just seems like Google just doesn't really, just everything is much looser out there, right? And then like once it gets on the page one, it's like the algorithm gets much more serious about like this one should go here and this one should go there, right? They can still
yeah.
move around and stuff, but yeah, once the farther back you go, the more it just bounces around like crazy. But yeah, it's super normal for stuff to jump just a couple positions or one position or whatever on page one. Um, even like, if we're checking like our the sites that we work on and stuff, it's just, if you're at like number one and then you a couple days later you check and you're at number three or whatever, you'd say, oh dang, we lost number one spot, and then you check next week and you're back to number two or number one again. I don't know, just
Or number
or
9.
no.
Yeah. Like
If I
it's
went
like,
from like the
it's
top
all
three to
it's all
nine,
random.
I would kind of sweat it a
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, it depends, right? It all depends on the time frame
Yeah.
because like stuff, it's not up to you, right? It's up to Google and what it's doing. So I think what we should really pay attention to here as far as like advice goes is the latter part of this question, which is checking every third day. I know it's hard, especially at the beginning,
Yeah.
but I literally check my rankings once a month now. Like I'm going in and I'm talking about specific. I'm using Ahrefs all the time to do all kinds of different SEO work, right? And that means, auditing through my own assets and stuff. But let's say SE ranking, once a month, I'm going in there. I'm just seeing what happened overall because then I can also read the data sets from day to day and I can say, okay, well, we got some volatility for this position here through this week. But then at least you can keep your mindset more broad about the situation and be more analytical versus when you've got a narrow focus, you're more inclined to make mistakes. And this is speaking completely from experience where early on I made extreme mistakes based on thinking.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Nick. We'll give him a second to reconnect. Sorry for the inconvenience, ladies and gentlemen. Just says there's a poor network connection. But I'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about this. Oop. I have to recall Nick. All right, so until Nick gets back, you can just look at him frozen right there, and I'll kind of take off from here. So, sorry, he's messaging me now. I think we can probably just reconnect right now. But now he's not answering, so I don't know what's going on. All right, looks like Nick is back. All right, sorry for the delay. Do you remember where we left off, Nick?
I don't know where it broke up from. What was I saying?
Something about a mistake you were making.
Oh, well, yeah. So, basically, if you're looking too narrowly, if you're too focused, right, on like, checking every third day, you're going to be more inclined to make mistakes by going in, messing with a whole lot of stuff, thinking you did the wrong thing. I did this early on, I'm talking from experience. But basically, now I'm once a month, I'm looking, you can then see everything over time, right? So you can go back to data sets throughout the month where you had extra volatility, et cetera. But you can be more analytical with your behavior and kind of, like move a bit slower, but have more information on what's going on versus if you're looking every third day, you're not getting a broad viewpoint. You're really just making yourself more nervous. So I know it's hard up front, but maybe, when you're first working on this, just try and go once a week. But like Chris and I said, we used to check when we first started every day. As
Or if we want to talk about developing healthy habits, I would say make it like every 2 weeks.
Sure. Yeah.
You can still get your little fix in there, but yeah, like you said, I think a lot of people they're confused and they think that these short-term fluctuations have something to do with what they're doing to the site, and it really doesn't have anything to do. And unless you made some kind of huge change and you saw a big jump or something, maybe you've messed something up, then that could be a thing. But as far as just like the normal daily fluctuations, the one up, one down, two down, whatever, two up, it really has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's Google shifting stuff around, reprioritizing.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at old pages I have for any number of different websites that I'm working on. And, having done nothing over the last couple months to a specific page, there's just normal volatility, right? On page one, it's just moving up and down throughout everything. And so, hypothetical in that situation, you can send links to try and stabilize things a bit more. And over time, that can help work as well. But yeah, you move kind of slow with it.
Yeah, just remember SEO moves slow.
Yes.
And it's not just a straight line. It's not just a steady like climbing a ladder. It's up and it's down and then you're jumping around. So just get it in your mind that SEO moves slow. Daily fluctuations are normal and don't really carry that much weight. Try to check your rankings a lot less and just look at the big picture rather than the day-to-day ins and outs of what's moving around. Anything else to add, Nick?
No, you do that, you'll sleep easier and you'll, be less inclined to make mistakes.
For sure.
I can't see, or I guess you're not screen sharing with me.
Yeah, sorry, one sec.
Nice.
And we'll have to get them to edit that out, I guess.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I was really bummed out because I felt like I was on a solid roll and it was very fluid, and of course, it won't be now.
It also says I'm happy with MLB program.
Oh,
Been two
nice.
months and there's positive things.
Good.
Good. Yeah, just be sure, be sure that while we're doing our work, that you're doing your work as well. Like, adding new
Adding
content to the
content
site, re-optimizing content, stuff like that. It really goes a long way as far as working together with the link building, right?
for sure.
Um, that's I just feel like the people, every now and then we'll get someone that comes into MLB and they're not very active, and their sites can still do really well and stuff. But then sometimes you just get these sites that come in, they're not doing anything at all, and the site's just kind of not in a great spot, and it cannot be, you don't get the results necessarily that you want. But I'm
Yeah,
glad.
remember always you're painting a picture, right? So it's an active site that's getting attention because it's continually changing, being worked on, etc. Did I lose you
So,
again?
no, I'm here. Can
Oh,
you hear me?
okay. Yeah, but there's just like a video lag where yeah, whatever. If it just affects me, that's fine.
So I'm gonna answer this one. So I have a third site which is not doing well, but it has a couple of big money articles that are not on page one anymore. I don't mind going black hat with them. What aggressive things can I do? So the first part of your question makes me a little bit worried because you're saying the site is not doing well, and then you talk about getting aggressive with black hat stuff, which is pretty much the opposite of what
We
I'm
would
gonna
say to
we're
them,
gonna
yeah.
tell you to do right now.
Yeah, yeah.
When a site isn't doing well,
You
um,
chill. Yeah.
yeah, you chill out, you get natural. You start linking to your homepage more. You start using lots of natural anchors, branded anchors, URL anchors, generic anchors. So when a site is not doing well, we get less aggressive.
Yeah.
We get much more conservative with our link building.
Yeah, and we're not going to be using stuff like PBNs either.
But I
We're going
think
to be
he's talking
doing.
about a site that we're not
Yeah, yeah, no,
doing for him.
yeah, but I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
so hypothetical, you had a site that was obviously doing well, you had page one rankings, you were happy with it, and then it came crashing down. My guess is, and this is purely anecdotal, you probably got too aggressive with it from the get-go, which, then you'll see that ramp up, and a lot of times a hard crash down, right? Like you had some trust, but then the game was kind of figured out. So without looking at it, I can only say too much. But right now, like Chris said, um, you need to change your frame of thought if you want to make this project succeed, which is get less aggressive,
Yeah,
and
so
start building the trust flow back in.
it's hard to really tell, without actually seeing it because we don't know how bad it's doing. So
Yeah.
he's just saying it dropped off of page one, so it could have just like dropped onto page two or whatever. Um, I don't want to give, I don't like giving advice about like how to get like super aggressive with something. If like the most aggressive, if your site is actually still in good health, if you haven't had a massive loss in traffic and keywords, and you've basically just had some stuff that was on page one and it kind of just popped off, and maybe it's on like high page two or something like that,
Hmm.
then you could be fairly aggressive. And what I mean by fairly aggressive is, let's say the overall amount of links you're building for the month, you could do like half of them to inner pages, right? This is under the assumption that your site is still very healthy and doing well,
Yeah.
and you've just kind of had some stuff fall off of page one, but not super far off of page one, right? Then you could do like half your links to inner pages, the other half to the homepage. Homepage links, do supernatural anchors. The ones that are going to inner pages, if you have some room to use exact match anchors, you could do that. If you've already used too many exact match anchors, you want to be a little more natural or topical with them, or long tail or whatever, or keyword variations. You don't want to get like super aggressive. Be aggressive when you can be aggressive. Like just because you're losing rankings, don't get like super aggressive, right? You still want to trust the overall process. just because you lost some rankings doesn't mean that you really changed the dynamics of how aggressive you can actually be, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he says he wants to send us a link to the site. Just send it to Chris on Facebook IM.
Yeah, if
Or do
you
we? I
if
mean, because we can do that right now, right?
yeah, if you want us to actually look at it, send us a message on Facebook. You can send it to one of us. If you're in our Facebook group, you could just send it to one of us if you have our Facebooks, or you could send it to our business Facebook. Um, yeah.
Let's answer that in the meantime, or if you want.
Does a backlink indexer really work now these days? If so, what is the best backlink indexer you can suggest?
So I stopped using backlink indexers at least a year or two ago, because I found that they weren't really working, and quite honestly, that I didn't think it was worth doing, because basically, depending on how the indexer works, sometimes things might not look so natural. And so, in order to create the most natural link profile, I'm doing what the normal business owner would do, which is creating profiles and then not worrying about it. Plus, Chris and I have gone into this quite a bit. And I think it was a quote from Mueller that you put up recently, right, Chris? That said, of course we don't index every link we find, right? But that doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
not registered. But why would they index countless directories and citations, etc.? However, that's not to say that it doesn't paint a picture, right? I see indexers as sort of like a spammy technique, quite
Yeah,
honestly, in
it's
my
just
opinion, now at this
it's
point.
unnatural. You're
Yeah.
already doing something, you're building links, which,
Hmm.
as you know, Google doesn't really like that too much. You know, people still consider it white hat or whatever, but by adding more on top of that, like force indexing stuff, just add something else that just isn't super natural to the mix, which in general we like to stay away from, and just to let things index naturally. If you're talking about indexing things like pillow links, which would be like citations, directories, profiles, we're talking about, or you can look at our articles for more information on pillow links. But basically, something that's not a niche edit, not a guest post, not a PBN, not an editorial link, but pillow links, stuff that anybody can make. I wouldn't be trying to index those at all. I would just stay away from it and just let them index naturally. Google will index them if they think they're important. That being said, something you can use are people like to use like Web 2.0s to help index things. Or you could do stuff like just basically shooting any kind of links at other links will help get things indexed. But that kind of leads me to the next point, which is if you're talking about a page on your website that you want to get indexed, I guess you're talking about just backlinks because he's saying backlink indexing.
Yeah.
So if you're okay, so let's say you're actually talking about something that's not a pillow link. You're talking about like niche edits, guest posts, or PBN links. Um, so those types of links, so a guest post, depending on what kind of site it's on, uh, it can take different amounts of time to index. It just depends on basically the backlink profile that website has. If they have a bunch of backlinks going to the site and they're good links, it's going to get crawled quickly and indexed really fast. Niche edits, generally when you buy niche edits, the article should already be indexed. But then, it's going to have to get recrawled. Then you have a new link being added to it. But I wouldn't worry about it. As long as the URL is already indexed, it's gonna come. But so even with those kind of things, I would not be trying to force index, PBN links or edits or guest posts. Just
No.
let them come. And if they're not coming, if they're not getting indexed, like for example, if you pay for a guest post and it's not indexed after like 2 weeks or like a month or whatever, I mean, I
It
would,
depends on the quality of
yeah.
the guest posts and stuff, right? But yeah, after hypothetical, like I order some from wherever, after a month, I'll probably be like, well, this should be indexed,
Yeah,
right?
if it's, I mean, I know things. I know
But I
things have been
honestly, I
taking a little
never
longer
look.
to get indexed. No, yeah, I never look
Yeah,
either.
like I don't ever check that. I put my link orders in every month to whatever asset, and then I honestly I forget about it because
But what I think a
it's
lot of
easier
people
to
don't
delete.
realize is that we like use our own service the same way that you would use it.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah.
we we put orders into
My
our
orders.
team now the same way you would buy links from us. We just put
Yeah,
the orders in and they come and we don't check anything. Like we just say okay.
yeah.
And I guess we probably
I
should because the
even
team can make mistakes and we do fix mistakes
sure.
free of charge, of course. But,
But
but
I
we
mean,
just don't. We don't check it.
I have a separate company that pays for orders through the teams at this company, right? So hypothetical, I am a client as well as an operator. So
But anyway, what we're trying to get at is, if you get like something like a guest post or a PBN link and it's not indexed after a few weeks, definitely something to look into. But I wouldn't try to force index it. It would be more like talking with the provider and either seeing what's going on or trying to get a replacement or something along those lines.
mhm.
If it's not in, if it's an actual piece of content on a real website and it's not getting indexed after a good amount of time, then there's something going on there, right? And I wouldn't try to force index it because it doesn't make that situation any better. You're still getting a link from something that's not indexing like it should be, which is a sign of, it not being too healthy. And then if you're just doing pillow type stuff, I just wouldn't index at all. But like I was saying,
Yeah.
some people like to use like Web 2.0s or whatever. I just, if you're trying to force index stuff, it's just,
Say all, I mean, like, it's like, is it worthwhile to shoot backlinks at some of these things that you're talking about wanting to index, right? How, like, when you think about it, it's got to be a backlink that's going to have some like some value to it in your eyes in order to spend the extra money to do tiered backlinking campaigns to these things, which absolutely is a good idea, can work. But you're not really, if you're doing it for the purpose of trying to index something, I think you're kind of missing the point, which is to just build a larger network, right? So yeah, it's
yeah,
is it worth doing for Nisus?
so maybe this wasn't the answer you're looking for, but it's our like honest to God, truthful answer. I would just stay away from it is my advice. Um, all right, let's see what we got next. We get a lot more questions on YouTube now than we do on Facebook. It used to be
Yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you found us on YouTube or Facebook. Yeah, it's kind of cool since we started doing this, because we didn't really do anything YouTube wise before. Yeah, we're gaining some popularity. I think maybe we need to start, I don't know, running ads on YouTube or something and trying to get more questions in here every week.
Let's see what we got next.
And also, if you did find us, on YouTube, you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, we're more active in there than we are anywhere else. And like we mentioned last week, we've seen a lot of the big underground SEO Facebook groups kind of fade away over the last like year, really. So, if you've got friends looking, for a place to hang out, SEO Roundtable on Facebook is our main point of contact.
All right, so I'll just answer this one really quick. Is keyword cannibalization a bad thing? Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can do a search on our YouTube channel. We've got a few videos on it. Blah 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 blah. Send you a link. You got banned from Facebook. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I've got your link here. It looks like you finally created an account. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll check this out. See what's going
So
on.
automatically I'm seeing one thing that I bet we're going to see. I had to do 2 days ago, I had to do about like 6 hours of fixing a website like this one. I'm willing to bet there's a lot of best articles on this one,
Could be.
seeing as the URL starts off with best
It's an
quote
EMD.
product search.
All
Yeah.
right, well, here, let's pull up the picture so people can
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Mm.
And we'll just do it like right here.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. And just to note, what we're going to show you as far as organic keywords, the image looks fairly healthy, right? But if you look at the traffic and value based on 600 and almost 650 organic keywords that aren't adding up to but 150 estimated traffic is not a good sign.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and look at this. So right off the bat, I just start at the very top. So we got a DR of 5, 821, almost 1,000 referring domains. So what this is showing me instantly is like your DR, even though the DR is not something we pay super close attention to, it's something we make very quick judgments using. So what this tells me, without even looking deeper, is you've got 821 links, the large majority of which are not good. And what I mean by not good is they're just not powerful. They might not be toxic, they're just not very good links. Or this DR would be quite a bit higher for almost 1,000
bunch of
referring
directories,
domains.
comments, blog spots, whatever else.
Yeah. So then just looking down a little bit further from that, we come to the organic traffic graph, and you can see, you've got about 200 and, I don't know, maybe about 200 traffic, which is quite low. We're talking about very small amounts of traffic, and you can also see it's down from all-time highs, but those highs were quite a long time ago as well.
It
We're
took a
talking about
sharp
almost
dive.
2 years ago. But also he had never really got to like a huge amount of traffic. It's not super small either, but it's really not much. But he did take a very sharp dive. Like you never want to see something like this, right?
No.
And you can see
And
he's now rebounding. He's starting to see some keyword and traffic growth, which is good. Did you want to say something, Nick?
well, just that, based on what we were talking about before we saw it, it looks like that is what happened, which is, he got very aggressive with it. It dropped the first time, then it was testing again, and then it just came to a hard fall before, kind of getting to where it is today, which is resonating. However, it does look like there's quite a bit of volatility, which,
Yeah.
given the early stage
And
of
Nick,
this
and look
website,
at
that
this,
doesn't
Nick.
look like a great thing.
So we're seeing this rebound over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I go and I look at the links that are coming in, and look at that huge
Yeah.
spike of links that he just
Yeah.
had come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Somebody's a little too aggressive.
you went
And then I think
from
there's probably quite a few issues going on.
he went from
Yeah.
200 referring domains to about 1,000 referring domains over the course of like a month or two.
Yeah.
So we're seeing this rebound. This he's popping up here at the end, but it also looks like he did some very unnatural link building to get that. And then you can see these keywords starting to drop off. Like Google's
Yeah.
like, hey, this is awesome, lots of links, and then actually that doesn't look good.
Wait. Yeah.
So Google basically is noping out of the situation now, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Let's check out their anchors.
I just
See what
wanted to
they're
look.
doing.
So
Oh,
he's got
okay.
about 175 URLs indexed on Google. And I just wanted to take a real quick look at the site.
Product site, Amazon affiliate, it looks like.
Yeah, just looks like a
It looks all right.
pretty standard affiliate site. not really looking too much into stuff, but okay. So did you want to do the anchors or do you want to look for best first?
Yeah, well, let's start with yeah, okay, sure. Check out the pages. Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold up. That's gonna.
That's not where we want to be,
What's
is
the
it?
one I normally use to check this? Top pages.
Yeah.
That's this one. So he's got best in the domain name, but actually the articles don't really have best in them. So I don't think that's really the problem here.
No,
Or
maybe
even
not.
part of the problem. I've only really seen one article so far. Okay. So let's look at anchor text. Sorting anchor text by referring to domains to see the most used.
Spammy.
Yeah, let's see what these are.
Probably Web 2.0s. Oh, they're like directories, huh? Yeah. Yeah, so
So a
low
lot of these
quality
like
link
dot
profiles with
infos.
like
Yeah.
with the long tail keywords which we see here and there, but
These are
like
actually image links. They're all going to like
oh, it's
the
the
image. Well, they're linking to images on his site. So I guess you can hear me now. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It looks like the stream is working again. Nick just stepped away from the computer for a second because he thought I guess it was going to take a little more time to take care of. The good thing is this will be recorded. We're also recording this, and so the recording will be fine. So when we chop it up and put it on YouTube, you'll be able to see all this stuff. Yeah, it looks like the stream is up and going again. Stream on Facebook ended.
what were you saying? The stream ended?
I'm just trying to get it going on Facebook again.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
Weird.
it's
So
actually my
maybe it
internet. I
wasn't
think
my
it's my
internet.
internet. I don't know why. Oh,
You want to just tie it up there before we do this again? Like we can
just give me 1 second.
yeah.
Okay. We appear to be good. We just had to start a second stream on Facebook. All right, guys. Sorry about all that. But yeah, like I said, to watch without interruptions, the videos we chop up and put up on YouTube after, since we're just doing a straight up
Yeah.
recording as well that we go and chop up, they'll be interruption free. So yeah, sorry about that. I think it's my internet actually, not Nick's this time.
Surprising.
All right. So where were we?
I believe that the anchor profile was not natural, or rather the backlink profile in general.
So
While
yeah, he was
looking at
getting
the
a bunch of links
anchors.
from .info sites to JPEGs to his images, which I'm not. Hopefully, you didn't pay for this stuff. If you did pay for it, stop paying for it.
Yeah. But either
just-
way, even if you're doing stuff like this, you can legitimately get away with doing a good amount of it if you're just choosing natural anchors at the very least, right? Like random, naked, branded, generic. Everything we're seeing here, all of the most used anchors are all long tail keyword variations, being spammed out 20, 30
it's only linking
times.
to images on his site.
Yeah, and so it's a form of spam. But regardless, where do we see? So branded comes up like, and it's a kind of weird branded.
So his first branded is down here. He's got 18 referring
Yeah.
domains to his branded, and but he doesn't split up the brand name. It's all just like a solid. It's just like the domain name
Yeah, and
all put together.
I think that's still coming from the spam stuff, right?
No. So looking at this, it looks like it's more like directories and stuff that I'm seeing here.
Okay. All
Here, we'll
right.
show some more.
Which that's okay.
I'm just seeing a bunch of directories. So it looks
Yeah.
like, so if he did not build the spam links, if we just assume those came in on their own, then it's like every branded that we're seeing is only directories.
Yep.
Um, so what I'm going to go ahead and guess is, and I think he even said something about this before. I think he said he really did like no link building to the site. Let's see what he says. He says, yes, the third site, I didn't really build any links to it.
Okay. All right.
So what it's looking like is he got hit with a bunch of spam, and then the links that he built so far, he didn't really build anything like guest posts or edits or editorial links. It looks like mainly just kind of
Lower
the
end
stuff that, yeah,
directories,
directories, stuff that kind of,
some spammy stuff. But like, the where I've seen stuff like this is in the done for you Fiverr style packages where it's like we'll take care of SEO for you every month, and then the backlink quality is typically kind of like this. When I mean, and I'm saying this from when I've used it before, right? Because we're inclined sometimes on private projects to be a bit spammier. But yeah, you kind of have to know how to use it.
yeah, all pretty much all the links, the extreme majority of the links here look like he didn't build them and they were just kind of spam coming into the site.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, as far as where to go from on a site like this is I would just start linking exclusively to the homepage.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you might even want to do some like lower authority links. Um,
Just to break up your anchors at least.
yeah. And then I would just stick with like mid to high authority links only to the homepage, only natural anchors, branded URL generic. And I'd probably do that until, looking at his, back to his traffic graph that we were looking at, keywords and traffic. I'd want it to probably get back up to like pretty much what like the all-time highs were before, like back to like 750 or so.
I would probably even keep going past that,
Yeah, you
like
could.
just he's got a lot of content, looks like pretty quality content on that site. So
Hmm.
I would think, just build up the overall trust back into this asset and you're going to do really well with it over time, right? But don't, you know, as far as what it looks like right now from a backlink perspective, it's over optimized, it's aggressive, it's spammy. And so like, you'd have to expect that this is going to take a little bit of time, but you want to see basically in Ahrefs and in Google Analytics, you want to see that kind of parabolic growth begin to happen where it's like you have 174 articles on here. Once it starts testing, even on page one for some of these keywords, that my guess is that it looks like they're based in good keyword research and that they would equal quite a bit of traffic. So yeah, at least come up to where you used to be before getting too aggressive. But even then, I would maybe suggest doing like 20% once you decide to get aggressive, inner
Yeah.
pages and more aggressive anchor texts,
So
but still
so
like always to the home page.
what we're talking about is we want this traffic graph. We want the traffic graph to just kind of go like this. We don't want it to go just straight up and then start getting more aggressive with interpage links. We want to see like a nice grind, right? Like where it's adding some girth, some stability, some just it's got a nice thick base to it rather than
Chris.
just popping up like this. Does not look stable, right? It looks like something you could just tip over.
Hmm.
You want it to have like the nice like
Well, but granted, if it does go straight up and down like initially, that's not necessarily a sign that it's going to come crashing down either. I get sites pretty often if you're doing really good quality backlinking, when the trust flow happens and you've done excellent keyword research where there's not a lot of competition, you will sometimes see that mega spike, right? But
Yeah.
expect volatility later on once things start to even out too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, before you get too much more aggressive with inner pages, just give it some time to have some nice, steady, quality growth over time, and
Girth.
yeah, add some girth, and then
What
yeah,
have you
like
been
Nick was
watching?
saying, and then you slowly start getting more aggressive. You slowly start doing inner page links with some exact match anchors. So like Nick was saying, only start doing like 20% of your monthly links. 20% you can start doing the inner pages. And
Hmm.
of those 20%, not all of them will be exact match anchors. Maybe only a couple of them are. Um, you slowly ease into hitting these exact match anchors on your inner pages. Just you want to see this nice steady growth and then ease into it rather than just then letting it pop up and then you go, oh, it's time, and then you just start like it's not time. Then if you start getting too aggressive too quick without it really getting this nice foundation, it's very possible you'll start seeing a graph that looks like this,
Hmm.
which we talk about quite a bit in our group. So if you're not in our group, be sure to get in there, because I've been showing a lot of examples with these where we advise people, homepage, you just do the homepage natural
Just do it.
anchors, and they see it pop up again and they go, we just need exact match anchors on the inner pages, and then it just keeps stay in this
But you
cycle.
don't. But you don't. I think it's especially hard if you haven't gotten to that school of thought in SEO, right? Where staying more natural is more beneficial to the overall goal set of the money site. When you start kind of micromanaging and getting too aggressive, you're showing Google that you're trying to manipulate the system. And that's based on treasure troves of data based on their crawlers going out and getting these, tidbits of information that are added up algorithmically. So yeah, just give them what they want to see, which is a more natural, slow progression, and you're going to kind of just weasel your way in there, for
Weasel,
lack of, yeah, weasel.
like a weasel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps. Homepage is your friend. Just keep going to the homepage for now until you see that nice steady growth, and then you can get a little weaselly.
Weasley.
All right, so head over to Facebook real quick. We got some stuff in here. Um, Again, a lot of questions in here. Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Thanks for showing up to the show today, guys and girls.
Even though we've had all these technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right. Um, does having unrelated pages to my niche hurt my homepage ranking?
No.
I think he's talking about having content on his site that's
Oh,
unrelated to his niche.
so it's not, but it's also, maybe not helping narrow in the scope of what your website is about, right? So all of a sudden you're geared more towards being kind of general. However, it kind of depends on what you're using this content for too. But let's say hypothetical, it's a affiliate site, it's very niche down, and now you're just thinking,
So let's say
I've
it's an
got
affiliate
access
site
to,
and everything's about small dogs.
yeah, okay. And then hypothetical, you've got,
An article about
I don't know,
pianos.
yeah, you could always tie it in, right?
Best
The
pianos for
dog that,
small dogs.
yeah, like, I mean, for your circus or whatever. So there's always ways to tie in. Maybe you've got a bunch of old content from an old website that you broke down, and you want to repurpose the content. Try and tie in as much relevance, even if the relevance is just like a paragraph that kind of relates somehow. You could use that page as, content that's just kind of off. It's not used for ranking, and it's just used for inner page linking. With a lot of websites that I've had that had lots of inner pages that were very powerful, I would essentially just create a sort of BS hub page unless it was something I want to rank for. But, a lot of like, especially academic type backlinks that you would find would be on inner pages to some thesis or some random thing, right? And so it's not repurposable, say for like a SERP thing. And I wouldn't want to 301 it, but I'll use it as a hub page that's, I don't expect anybody to find it, etc. But I'm doing a lot of interlinking to pages that I do want to rank, right? And that's going to help crawlers go through there and kind of analyze what the most important pages are on that site based off what a powerful page says. So there's ways to tie the room together differently. But if you're asking this question, I'm going to say you're probably looking at it from, well, I need to add content every week or whatever. Try and tie the room together to make it as niche specific as possible, which maybe means you've got to add content or spin the article to be about something like, dog toys or whatever we said. But overall, if you're ordering new content or writing new content to a site, try and make it as niche specific as possible. The only reason I could see that you're doing this is because you have access to content that is just unrelated, which would mean that you can just, spin the narrative to be more about whatever. And even though it wouldn't make sense to a consumer, you're not adding this content in your menu or anything like that, right? Like it's off just in your sitemap somewhere existing. And that means it still gets crawled. It still has some sort of value, but you can use it at the very least to do interpage linking, right?
What I think the best way to answer this would probably just be like, can what you're doing make sense for somebody else to do? Like does what you're doing, would it happen naturally in the real world? If someone else has a site like yours, would it be natural for them to add whatever kind of content that you're adding to the site is? If the answer to that is no, then I probably wouldn't do it. If the answer to that is yes, then you can do it. So like, yeah, if you got a website, it's about dog toys, and then for some reason you had this article about a cat playing a piano or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just some kind of flavorful, funny article that had to do with pets, kind of. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's just an article. It's just one every now and then that it's just not really related to dog toys or whatever. Then yeah, it's probably fine. But in general, you websites that are about a specific topic, they generally just have content about that specific topic. And as long as you're not adding like an extreme amount of content that's unrelated, I don't really see it being a big problem.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably not going to hurt your site in the
yeah,
sense that what it can do is if you've got more content that's about a different niche than what you're trying to rank for with your money pages, it's diluting what your website is about, right? So it's making it
yeah,
more confusing to Google, and so you're going to get less traction where you want to get the traction. So it can be counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. But
yeah. At the
again,
end of the day, you don't want to confuse Google.
yeah. Yeah, hard to say given that we don't know the specifics of why you're doing this, but yeah, overall, I think we answered the question.
Yeah, just
Try and keep it niche.
yeah, just ask yourself, is it natural or not? Does it make sense at all for this to be on my site or not? If it makes sense for it to be on your site from a business perspective, maybe it's something you want to show your clients or whatever, then absolutely put it on your site. But if it has no reason to be there other than you wanting to put more content on your site and it's just completely unrelated at all, and you don't really have a way to tie it in, I'd probably stay away from it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if you walk into a store and the store is selling, uh, I don't know, video games, and then they say, well, hey, we've also got this fresh watermelon here. Do you want to buy that? It's just it's just
Snacks.
it's just kind of weird, right? And it's
Yeah.
gonna it's gonna confuse your customers as to why there's a person in your store trying to sell them a watermelon if they came to look at
Yeah.
video
Not to
games.
say that you couldn't get a sale, it's just it's sort of awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to confuse the moderator
Google.
here. You don't want to
Yeah.
confuse Google and be like, well, why are they selling watermelon?
Google
It's
is a
just
robot, right? Like it's going, watermelons are to video games as, whatever. Yeah, don't confuse the robot. For as complex and intuitive as Google's robot is, it's still just a robot that has to think on, does this make sense based on data or does this not make sense? Uh, you can kind of keep it simple like that.
Yeah, if you're trying to understand why we have these weird examples, it's just because
We're
I
strange
love
people.
watermelon, I love video games, and I love dogs. Like if you look at my Instagram reels, or
It's
whatever,
true.
it's just
It's
that.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. He says we answered it, so that's good.
Nice.
Levin, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. Levin, yes, we can analyze your site if you pass it to us. We're starting to run low on time though, so we might have to wait for next time, but go ahead and pass it to us in a private message. Does Ahrefs completely measure traffic? We actually have a good answer on that on our YouTube. We actually have a video that just went live a couple days ago on YouTube. So that's something like how inaccurate is Ahrefs? Definitely go
Yeah.
watch that. And the answer is it's not accurate. What
I
is
mean,
an,
yeah. I'm sorry.
he says, what is an inner page? An inner page is just a page on your website that's not the home page. So if you look at like the URL, it'll be like mywebsite.com/my favorite video games. Oh, he went ahead and just shared it here. You you might want to delete that, Levin. Here, I'm gonna copy it and delete it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably don't have to worry about it. Don't stress that you put your
I
URL
I,
up,
I
but
already deleted it. It's fine.
yeah,
I got it
yeah.
here. Let's go ahead and answer a couple of these real quick ones. This is kind of an interesting one. I guess we can answer this one fully.
I'm guessing it's based on
Uh,
expired domain, maybe.
do pages that have 10,000 pages in the top 100 can rank easier?
Yeah.
I don't know if I understand it. Sorry. Do you understand the question? Do pages have... Uh-oh. Do we lose Nick again? Nick, are you there? Nope, he's not. He's reconnecting. More technical difficulties. This just is not a good day for our internet connections. I'll let Nick send me a message. But anyway, I think I'll go ahead and I'll try to start answering this one. So I think what you're saying is if a website has 10,000 pages that are ranking quite well, does it have an easier time ranking pages than other websites? So it's essentially, does a very large website that has decent rankings, do they have an easier time ranking pages? And the answer is yes. We consider a site that's that large. I mean, 10,000 pages is quite a large website. But anyway, large websites that are ranking quite well, we refer to them as authority sites. And sites that are very large, they generally have quite a good number of backlinks coming in as well. They have a much easier time starting to rank new content. So whenever they post a new article, in general, the article might just, it might rank instantly, right? It might instantly go to page 1. There, I think Nick is back. All right, Nick. Sorry, just getting Nick set up again real quick. All right, everything look good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm basically just talking about how it seems that this question is basically, do authority sites have an easier time ranking content than, say, a smaller site? And I was just talking about how basically, sites with this much content, this many pages, they generally have a good amount of links going to them as well. But basically, content can rank instantly. They might put a new article up and it could go to page 1 even within like an hour or so of them putting it up if they really have a lot of backlinks going to their site as well. Do you have anything to add to it?
No.
Just on the topic of authority sites ranking content quicker. It's kind of a scuffed video with a disconnect and everything.
Yeah, sorry guys. So To an extent, it is. So, like, if we're buying an expired domain or an age domain, having very powerful inner pages that used to rank for stuff, yeah, they can come back and they already have, connectivity to old authority sites or whatever backlink profile. But that's not to say that you can just, find one and then rebuild it, and in a month it's going to be back for all 10,000 top 100 or, top 100 or top 10 positions or whatever. It's going to take time. You're still going to have to work on the content. You're going to have to update things, etc. So, we've talked about it a lot. If we have the choice to build on a fresh domain or a age domain that has some power behind it in the form of historic backlinks, then we're going to go with the age domain. So any site with history, especially if it used to rank for countless pages in the top 10, would be worth snagging up and
But also
potentially
just
using.
he looks like he's mainly asking about just the size of the actual website. But generally, sites that large tend to have a good amount of backlinks as well.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, so I mean, still, the history of the site means that it can get back up there. I don't know about like super easily, but yeah, it's a
I'm just
good
laughing. I'm
starting
just laughing because the video disconnect and everything really, I think, threw us off on this
for
question. But
sure.
the
I
but the
started I started
answer,
reading a crypto thread, and then I just like you called me over here, and I'm like, okay,
but yeah,
sorry.
but the answer is yes. Generally sites that are very large, that have lots of content, that also have backlinks, they'll rank articles a lot easier and a lot quicker than smaller sites.
Yeah.
In general. Uh, let's see what's next. Um, I don't even know if people just keep asking questions. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get to everything.
Yeah, maybe not.
Um, we've got questions piling up on YouTube too, or at least one. All right, we'll try to get these. I had a .edu link to me through an article on one of their sub pages, but the link has not showed up in Ahrefs yet. Is there anything I can do to get the link indexed? So I think you're making a mistake of what indexed means. Indexed does not mean shows up in Ahrefs.
Well,
And
it would be indexed in Ahrefs versus indexed in Google, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what matters is that the link, well, we were talking about this before too, but in
Yeah,
general,
in
if
general.
it's not a pillow link, if it's not like pillow links, I don't worry about indexing at all. I just don't look at it ever. Zero energy is put
The
on
the
that.
type of link he's talking about though,
But yeah,
is going to be a pillow style link, I'm guessing. It's like
well,
the
it says it's from an
.edus.
article. It's an edu site, and it's from an actual article.
Well,
I would
it
assume this would
depends
get.
on I would assume it's a fiverr.edu type link.
He also says it's on a sub page, which I'm
Right. They
not.
have
I don't.
like
Does he
these
mean a subdomain?
they can be subdomains, or sometimes they're like mini directories where like students can go post and things like that, or put up, information papers. It's sort of like, for Stanford, if you go to Stanford, you can have your own Stanford blog, right? Which operates like a Web 2.0. So yeah, it depends too. If this is a informative article, like maybe it was, a very important article on, I don't know, whatever goes on at the university, but it's an actual editorial.
So Travis,
So if it's an
message me
actual,
the link. Send me a message. Don't just post it in
yeah.
the thing. It's just better to do that.
Okay, well, if it's that type of link, then yeah, quite honestly, I don't worry about things getting indexed in Ahrefs. What you
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
be worried about is things indexed in Google. And
yeah.
again, we talked about it earlier in this feed. Not everything does index in Google. However, if this is a legitimate link from a university
Yeah.
saying that y'all partnered or whatever, then yeah, it's going to get crawled and indexed at some point in time. Don't sweat it. Don't try and force anything. However, you could hit it with some backlinks because, this is a hard to get type of link if it's what you're saying it is. And so tiered link building to that would only reinforce, whatever money site they're talking about within that article.
Yeah, so just a quick recap. All right, he just sent me the. So yeah, it looks like just
Nice.
a normal article on their site, right?
It's probably already indexed, right?
And I guess
Yeah.
we can check to see if it's indexed. So to check to see if a link is indexed, you type site. You just go to google.com and you type site : and then paste the URL there. So your URL, it's showing up in the search. So your URL is indexed on Google, which is the only thing that matters. Again, the only thing that matters for non-pillow links. But yeah, your site is indexed. The link is indexed. The page is indexed in Google. I would not worry about it showing up in Ahrefs. It just doesn't matter if Ahrefs shows it or not.
And if it's like, oh, well, no, I think this is your personal site, if I'm not mistaken. But hypothetical, if it was for like a client, you wanted to show them the link in Ahrefs, right? You just have to bypass it and show that it's indexed in Google and let them know, that that's what matters.
Yeah. Don't worry about what Ahrefs is showing and not showing, right? It just doesn't matter at all. They have their own crawlers. It's their, they have their own like system going on, their own crawlers, their own links they think are important or not, whatever. If it's indexed on Google, awesome.
Yeah.
You can move on. It doesn't matter what Ahrefs says. I'm not sure.
I don't really understand that one.
Leanne, I'm not sure what you're asking about authority. Authority is a kind of a convoluted here. I'll go ahead and link this for you. It's quality. Just pulling up an article I can link him. Levin, go ahead and read this article it'll tell you a little bit about what authority is. All right, I think that's it for Facebook. We still have Levin's site that we can analyze, but let's do Tom's question real quick. All right. Is 80%, I really need to read these first before I put them up. Is 80% homepage links just for new or smaller sites? How about high DR sites that have thousands of domains linking to them? Should we still have a certain home percentage for new links? So I think what you're talking about is before we were talking about basically his site wasn't doing very well and he wanted to get real aggressive with things. And we were saying, no, don't do that. Go link only to your homepage for now. And then once things really start to be more solid and you have some solid traffic and solid keywords, that you would then slowly start shifting to like an 80% homepage, 20% interpage link blend. So, if you have a well-established domain and you have solid traffic, you have solid rankings, everything is solid, the health is good, then no, you don't need to do 80% homepage links and only 20% inner pages. You could do like 50-50. You might even have some months that, you might even do 100% inner page links. We generally don't like to ever stop building homepage links. So even on our most aggressive months, we'd still probably do like 20% homepage links. And then the next month, we might go a little bit heavier on the homepage. But in general, I'd probably keep it around like 50-50, something like that. Or you could even tip it a little bit more and do more inner pages. But then, on the next month, maybe go a little heavier homepage.
A thing too, though, I feel like the type of site you're talking about that's got thousands of domains linking to them, like I'm thinking of like a normal site with that many referring domains, is also getting natural links built to them, typically at that point in time, right? If we're talking about a domain that's got like 3,000 referring domains, it's got a ton of traffic, it's an authority site. Let's say you're building 10 links a month to that asset. You can probably get away with being more aggressive than you could with a newer site or sites that we're typically looking at from where we are here.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Tom. Short answer is no. If the site's in good health and has some nice rankings, you don't have to do 80% to the homepage, but definitely don't stop linking to the homepage.
Yeah.
And don't do like 90% interpage links every month. If you go real heavy on interpage links one month, then swing it back and do a little more homepage the next. Yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, Nick. David, David always makes us laugh. David, we love you, David.
David. Actually, we can say that too. There is a gambling service that we're about to provide.
Well, we already have gambling guest posts, which we currently people have to ask for it, and we'll give them the order form. We haven't announced this anywhere yet. We've got gambling niche edits that we can now give you guys.
Or but what we're going to be doing service too
is we're gonna put up some new pages on our sites. We'll put up a gambling links page and an adult links page, so you'll be able to view everything all of our options there. That'll be going live soon. But if you want gambling guest posts, you can go ahead and grab those now. If you don't have the order form, go ahead and send me a message. All right, Levin, this is gonna be the last question, Levin, and then we're actually gonna analyze your site. But this is gonna be the last question we'll be able to get to today, since we've already gone quite a good amount over. Are you okay with that, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna analyze his
What
site.
I have to do after this is so atrocious and boring that I'm like, yeah, we can stay here a while.
All right. And we of course love all you guys' questions and stuff. We have limited time as well. So
we still have to work today.
All right. Sending 200 links from a PBN site page, is it useful to rank the 200 pages on your money site? So he's saying there's a PBN website. I'm guessing he's saying one PBN site, 200 links from the same PBN website going to 200 pages on your money site.
Are we talking? Are we talking about like a footer link maybe that's just on every page of the PBN?
Well, no, because he's talking about 200. I guess he could have it.
Yeah, because if you look at it in Ahrefs, sometimes that's what people were talking about. It's like, oh my God, I've got 200 links coming from this domain.
But he's saying 200 pages on his money site, so it'd have to be 200 different links in the footer.
Yeah. Anyhow, best practice, it's probably not. Now, mind you, I've done stuff like that with a private PBN. I'll get creative with where my link is or stays, right? Maybe it's in the sidebar and resonates on a lot of pages. If you're using that sparingly, it is a technique that can still look natural, right? But you have to take into account a lot of different variables, like there's going to be multiple anchor texts that you're working with, etc. But overall, if you're talking about
oh my God, did we just lose Nick again? This is getting ridiculous at this point.
200.
Oh, here we go. You back, Nick?
Oops. Oh my gosh.
You're back. You're back.
What?
You're back.
Where did I end? I know, but where did it end?
I think
because it's like, I'm on these roles.
Best practice.
Well, I was saying that, I do on a private PBN personally, I might get creative with where I link from, right? Maybe it's in the sidebar where I know that's going to resonate on every blog post.
But will you ever, from one PBN, will you ever link to 200 pages on your money site?
So all 200? No. Yeah.
So what is the most different?
200 links
Yeah,
to,
no, I'm not talking
well, it
about.
just depends on the size of the PBN, right? So a lot of people where they're like, well, I don't want the link on the same PBN. What is that good for? Well, a hypothetical, does Business Insider talk about the same companies from time to time? You can still come in, you can put new articles up. Would I want them all on the home page at the same time? Or would I have 200 of them? No, that's oversaturated and it doesn't make sense, right? But a lot of it's going to depend on, the PBN, its size, and what you can get away with using it. But yeah, best practice is, use your PBN as naturally as you can. And if you've got a private PBN of like, let's say a network of like 10 sites, you can get a bit more creative with how you use things. But again, when you mess up with PBNs, depending on how you've done, everything else that kind of insulates your backlink profile, you can get popped in the SERPs if you're not doing things properly, right? So you always want to go as natural as possible with things, especially if you're unsure.
Yeah, just
200 links is a no.
best practice is not to, from any website to get 200 links from it going to a bunch of different pages on your site, especially with the PBN, which is, already the least natural of links you're going to get, and you have to be the least careful with. So definitely, I would just say stay away from that. If it was a PBN link and it was in the footer, and so you had like 200 links going to one URL on your site, I would say that's more fine. But definitely wouldn't I wouldn't mess around with trying to get 200 links from the same PBN to your website. That's just kind of it just doesn't look natural at all, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that is it for our normal questions. We are going to analyze Levin's site real quick. So yeah, David, gambling niche edits are coming. We don't have them quite, they're not ready to be live quite yet, but they are coming. Gambling guest posts are live. You can get gambling guest posts now. And gambling PBN, I don't know if we'll ever have gambling PBN, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it might be in our packages that are coming out, but yeah, it's yeah, for
It
our
just
for
carries a
our
lot of risk.
public PBN, it's just well, that, and it's just like, in order to make things natural, right? Like, you'd have to have a plethora of PBNs in a specific niche, along with a plethora of clients within a specific niche, right? But you gambling guys like to come in and you make so much money that you're like, here is all this money for
They
like
just
all
buy
these
everyone that
insane
we
amounts
have.
of backlinks. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like you need, 100 PBN just to manage one client. And so, as far as us building it, it's not cost effective. And so for any serious gambling, um, uh, business person out there in our space, if that's something that you want, we can build custom private PBNs for you, right? But it is not cheap. But we've done that for a lot of clients, especially in the more difficult niches. They want
Payday
big
loans.
private PBNs, yeah. And so it's something we can do, but it's it's a bit of a process, and then you have to be able yourself to manage that PBN, right? So there's a workload, but we can definitely build them.
Yeah, we do. As far as our PBN links goes, we do not have plans for gambling PBN right now. They could come up, but right now the main things is we got the new gambling niche edits coming, and we have gambling guest posts already. All right, so let's go ahead and analyze this site. Oh, it's an expired domain.
Oh, so it's not up yet. You just want
Um,
us to look at the backlink profile?
I guess so. So, Levin, we're here to analyze your site now, and it looks like the domain you gave us is expired.
Yeah, see, David,
So,
I orders 1,000 PBNs. I can't do it. Okay.
So what we're doing right now is we're just going ahead and I guess I'll just put something up so people can look at it.
So, basically, they've found a domain, or they've purchased it, right? Nothing's built on it. And they're asking us to kind of look over what we think about this domain.
They
So
paid
if you're,
$4,000 for it.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, what do you want to go? Do you want to go ahead and look at anchors first?
Sure. So we see that historically, it's resonated in the SERPs. The DR is 45 based on 700 or so referring domains. To me, that seems like a healthy mix, just at a glance. Historical is at 2.5 thousand. And a lot of times when you're manually combing, you'll come to find that the referring domains that actually exist are closer to that range than they are what Ahrefs is showing live. So, at a glance from the overview, it looks like something that I would dig further. If I'm doing a search for domains, I would dig further into this one. And also the URL, I'm not sure what it's specific to, but it's like maybe a partial match domain, depending on what you want to use it for. It's short. So yeah, sometimes you pay a little bit more of a premium for a domain name like this.
And just looking at its historical traffic and keywords, it looked like it had quite a bit of keywords at one point.
Yeah,
But
reaching like
traffic was never
35,000.
too high though, which is kind of weird that it had because look how many keywords it had like
Yeah,
almost 40,000 keywords, but traffic was less than 2K.
Is there any are any pages indexed in Google? Did you look?
I can check. So I'm doing the Google search operator, site, colon, and then paste the URL. This is 524.
Nice. Okay, so that's always a good sign. Is that it is still resonating in Google, having been dead at least, almost a
It looks
year.
like.
Yeah, yeah. So that's always a good sign. You got 524 index pages on an expired domain that's been dead for a while. Okay, nice. More reason to look further into it.
All right, so you want to go ahead and go anchors first?
Yeah, let's check out the anchors, or pages best by links too.
Okay. So pages best by links got a bunch of. Well, let's sort it like this. Homepage number 1, good. Looks like you got about 10 pages or so that are pretty heavy.
And so these inner pages are the type of stuff that you'd completely repurpose, right? It looks like it was like an old news or informational type website. The URLs aren't anything that would go after a money keyword. It's just like, the date range and then whatever. So, these, the more powerful ones, like I said earlier in this stream, sometimes I would go ahead and use them as hub pages that just exist on the sitemap. Now, mind you, depending on what the content was about, if we dug in further, see what the backlinks are that are actually pointing to this, we can create like an overall picture of what maybe we could repurpose the article for. And in that case, you just figure out what keyword you want to go after. You'd make that your slug or permalink. And then, you would 301 the old page to the new one. Sorry, that was a mouthful, but that's what you would do.
It's
so
interesting that it has it's like every single page on the site is just these dates and stuff, random numbers.
Yeah, they never optimized for.
It looks like they never optimized for anything.
Anything. So you'd have some fun
look at it in,
doing 301 work for a long period of time. This reminds me of a site that I was working on at the beginning of the year. I'm still working on it, but that part is done, where it was just like I had countless inner pages that I wanted to keep the power off of. And so, yeah, that was a couple months of work at least.
Wow, this is a really old site. It has
Hmm.
stuff in Wayback Machine going back to 99.
Nice.
Let's go look and see what it was doing in 2005. So I'm just on Wayback Machine right now.
Just archive.org.
Archive.org, looking at snapshots of the site in the past to see what it was.
Cool. So it is a health site, and a lot of stuff is still resonating. Yeah, this is a nice site. Very nice. Yeah, and health sites, oftentimes you're going to be paying a premium for them, especially for something that is like this, has a lot of history. So yeah, archive looks good.
Hmm.
What about let's check out backlink profile.
Do you want to do anchors first?
Yeah, yeah.
Referring domains, sorting by referring domains, branded right up the top. Anchor text looks great, I think.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Um,
Plus, knowing what the site was about in archive, this all matches up. You know, and I'm guessing that this is going to have some really nice links from .gov, .edu, etc.
yeah, we can go check out the
Just if I
backlinks
had to
now.
guess.
Uh,
Yeah.
bunch of
Yeah, so I mean, like,
Wikipedia.
it was like an academic research,
I'm gonna sort by
scientific
DR.
study website. It's got tons of history.
Gov, you like Gov links.
Yeah, from authority sites. And once you repurpose the site, over time, all of this is going to resonate with it as well. Typically, if you're somebody that's in the health market, you have what you said, which was $4,000 to spend on a site, then you know what you can do as far as generating revenue with a site. And I'm sure you look at it as $4,000 as a bargain. And I would agree. If you know what you're going to do with this site and you've got a clear cut process, this is an excellent starting point. You're going to have a lot of work with repurposing those inner pages, but if you do it properly, it's going to yield a lot of high return for you in the form of traffic. How you
Bunch
convert
of,
it is on you, but yeah.
it's got like 20 EDU links.
Hmm. Yeah, and not weak links either. They're very niche specific, etc.
3 Gov links. Yeah,
So
everything looks
yeah,
good. I don't know if you had
nice
a
site.
specific question about it. Um, yeah, it looks good. All right, David, we're gonna have to. There's a video I can show you for our blueprint. It's not an exact blueprint, but it's just talking about building links to a new site. I'll go ahead and link that for you.
Yeah, or check out Chris's case study too. It's got some examples in there. The way you diversify your link profile with
Or do you
your
want to look at one
backlink
more? This
campaign.
one might actually be fun to look at.
Sure.
Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, go for it.
You really don't want to work.
Dude, I have so much. I did, I think, 5 hours of just mindless Excel checking across like multiple. I'm uh, m- bringing together some databases that we have, and
Mhm.
it sucks. It sucks.
I'm trying to get a link for David real quick.
You know, here at random, I'm going to have a little story time. Oftentimes, when we start excelling in things like SEO, right? Then we don't want to do some of the more mundane tasks, but the mundane tasks are oftentimes what add up to like the big wins. And if you've got a big picture mindset, And then the capability to these mundane tasks, they'll set you up for success. And oftentimes when I don't want to do something like I've got to do today, which I did yesterday and I did the day before, I just have to remember something that I've done in the physical world. A lot of times I think about when I was doing this construction job, we were putting paneling on a warehouse. It was cold, just miserable. And your entire job is you're doing screws, like spaced out, X space.
This is too much. Oh, you're back. We did lose you
Hello?
during story time, though. Looks like you're still kind of frozen.
Where was I at? Okay.
Something about being frozen on a roof.
Yeah, right. So the point is that job, which was massive, was completed by keeping my head down, me and some other people, and drilling screws evenly spaced apart over time, right? Like that's like that was it. So like when I'm doing Excel work, I'll just picture the same thing, only instead of like drilling screws, I'm just doing data sets. And like, you can kind of find like a sort of meditative kind of dance in there in your brain if you trick yourself right. But those little small things add up to the big picture, right? So, I rant over.
So Levin asked if he could use that domain for USA. He says it's Italian.
Oh,
All
yeah,
the,
I saw that
all
it was.
the,
Yeah, all the links seemed. Yeah,
yeah, it's all
it'll work fine.
English. I would say it would work great.
Yeah.
All right, so for real this time, this next one we analyze is going to be the last one, and I guess we can show this one, which is cool because we don't normally get to show stuff that we're actually looking at. Okay, let me make sure it's not his real quick. Can you guys check the site method that they use exactly to bump up rank like crazy? Okay, so it's not his site. We can go ahead and show this one, right?
Sure. Even though it's funny because I was just like imagining, well, what if they show up next month and then all of a sudden they're asking questions? We would hide the site, but yeah, I mean, it's all of this is public information, right? So it's just basically if you guys ask us not to show the site, we're not going to, or we're just not going to by proxy. But
So what I'm going to do here for you, Nick, is I'm going to share the other screen. Oh, that's cool. You can just easily switch like that.
nice.
So you see that screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, he just wants to know
It looks like they're
what
spamming
the hell
the
these guys
domain
are
now.
doing or how they're ranking so well. All right. So yeah, it's a gambling site, it's a casino site.
Foreign.
I mean, yeah, look at these. So they got almost 6,500 referring domains.
Looks like
Well,
they got
almost 2
all
million.
of them in like 2 months.
Yep.
Top.
High DR 71. Look how many they really don't have that many keywords, but their organic traffic is pretty high.
Yeah,
Traffic
for
volume
casino,
not so high.
you might find that, right? Because the casino is it's more like a gaming site. Like it's not going to have a lot of informational content sometimes.
Hmm. All right, but yeah, like Nick was saying, first thing you really notice is that their links just shot up out of nowhere, right? And so
Well,
the question would be, did they do some 301s here, or did they just, spam hard? It looks like before that they had about, just a low number of links. So the site did exist a little bit before that. Um, Even back years, actually, the site existed for years just with like 20 referring domains.
mm-hmm.
Um, see how they're doing over here. And yeah, looks like, rankings didn't do too well in the beginning, and then they really kind of beefed up. It's like they're sitting about 20K traffic right now.
Which is usually substantially lower than like they're actually getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably doing all right. It's so weird that the traffic value is 520 based on 19,000 traffic to a casino site. That's got to be an error.
So I just want to real quick. So this is the site. And I'm going to do a quick. It's only got one page
It's a
indexed on.
one-page site.
Yeah, it's got one page indexed on Google. Just interesting.
Really sniping that.
So if you guys didn't know about this, is the Google search operator I was talking about before. You type site colon and then paste the URL in there, and it'll tell you how many URLs are indexed for that website on Google. So they've only got one URL indexed on all of Google right now. Okay, so and yeah, just looks like pretty much everything's built to the homepage, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, what do you want to look at?
I guess just the backlinks, really. Let's see what the anchors are, because it could be.
I sort it by referring domains here so you can see. So, okay, empty anchor, slot online, EMD number
Nice.
1, URL. Guess this is keyword.
You can definitely get away with being far more spammy in
Yeah.
casino, but they're very. I mean,
More
like it
churn
seems
and
like they're
burn.
very specific about what they're targeting, and yeah, it could be a churn and burn. Maybe they do this regularly.
So yeah, you can see they're targeting this Judy slot, whatever Judy is, Judy slot online.
And I'm guessing they're probably just. I mean, it's the page specific target and a lot of spam.
It's like, I guess it's Indonesian.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean they're hammering exact match anchors, right? We do have the URL anchor up here quite
Yeah.
high, but overall, I mean every other one of these is an exact match
Oh,
anchor.
well, that's a 301 anchor, isn't it? What is evaluated.org?
No, that's the actual website,
Oh, weird. I don't know why I thought it was something else.
evaluated.org.
So I guess it's repurposed.
Yeah.
And maybe, too, depending on who this person is, they could be looking for just specific sites that recently dropped that they can capitalize on, it already kind of existing in the SERPs, and then they're repurposing. And like Chris said, that would probably be a churn and burn type scenario. But if they're really good at doing it, and this is worth a decent amount of money.
Churn and burns every now and then, if they're good at it, especially, yeah, they can last quite some time. It's just
Yeah. We've talked about it before, like there are people that make that their business model, right? I mean, Chris, we're not those types of SEOs, but there are people that, that's exclusively what they do. Yeah, so it's just a bunch of spam from all over the place. This is something you'll find too.
They do have some 301 action going on.
Yeah. Yeah, what are they doing? They're spamming the hell out of this burner site that they've created, and they're getting one keyword that maybe is worth like, a decent amount of traffic value to them. And so, was it David that asked this or leave? Yeah, David asked this, right?
David.
So it's like, they have a different business model than what you're currently doing. At some point, this might come crashing down, or they might actually stay there for that specific geographic region, for that particular search term, for a prolonged period of time. Like we've talked about before, adult gambling, and sometimes the shadier areas of finance are typically spammier niches. And that being said, you can get away with spammier tactics. So yeah, I mean that's the basic gist of what's going on here. Just
Yeah.
it's a spam burner site.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much more we need to look at here. Is there anything else you wanted to look at?
No, that's it.
Yeah, and like we've talked about before, um,
Well,
sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, David, I know you buy clean links for your assets, right? But maybe if you see this, you could start selectively using some spammier stuff in conjunction with your clean link building. But again, remember, this is that's getting into more advanced territory. So
Yeah,
it's something that I will do with particular assets, where I selectively mix in some spam because I know I can get away with that recipe.
just to clarify for anyone watching,
But
never client sites,
no,
ever,
yeah,
never,
don't do
ever,
stuff
ever.
like people looking for a quick win there are just asking to. It's not. It's yeah, that's not how you do things. But if you no, if you're good at building affiliate sites or things that you're in full control of, it's probably best to start with an experimental site versus something that you love, but or you've really nurtured and worked hard on. But you're essentially just adding to the recipes that you can build using different link profiles. It's not something that we do at Sir Links a lot, but I do have to talk about it because it is a technique that can be used, and it can be used to get high traffic yield,
For
especially
sure.
in
Yeah, we've
niches.
talked about it a million times before. Just know that this stuff exists. It can work very well. It has a high amount of risk associated with it.
Mhm.
It's a very advanced kind of technique. Well, if you do it well, it's advanced. You could also just not
Yeah,
do
you
it
can also
well.
do it bad.
And but to actually get it to work and to keep working for some time without getting penalized and stuff, it's an art form. It's its own thing. Uh, it's something I actually like quite a bit, but it's also something. Please never use this on any of your client sites, and of course, we never do this kind of thing on any client sites. But it's good to know that it exists, and I think it's super interesting and fun, right?
Hmm.
It's the wild side of SEO. All right. I think we can go ahead and call it there, guys. We've almost went
Yeah, we
double
did
time
two
today.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully our answers helped
Drop
you
some
out.
money in the tip jar if you liked what you saw. No, just kidding. Just like and subscribe and invite your friends over.
Oh, and make sure you're in the Facebook group because I've got a question I want to ask you guys about a case study that I'm gonna start doing tomorrow in the group. I'm gonna take a little poll. So make sure you're in the Facebook group and vote on the poll so I know what I should be doing to help you guys out. Did you want to do the outro, Nick?
Nah, go ahead.
Well, David says he's going to order a lot for the tips. David, I believe you, and thank you. Um, so yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube, all that stuff. It really helps us out a lot. We really don't do this stuff at all.
More bad, yeah. And don't
Um,
forget that the Black Friday sale is coming up.
Black Friday
It's a
sale
big
coming
one,
up.
25% off.
Subscribe to our
Guest
mailing
posts.
list on our
Yeah.
homepage. Join our Facebook group, SEO Roundtable. You want to be in all these stuff. Just make sure you can ask questions at any time, get access to all of our specials, our sales, our updates, all that stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for showing up. And yeah, sorry again for the technical difficulties, and we will see you next time.